Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. With the Demon Slayer movie booming right now, I figured this was probably the best time to make a Demon Slayer what if, considering the last one I didn't do that well. So with my options being limited on which characters I could probably make a successful video on, I chose Akaza, since the latest movie completely changed my view on him. Before, I didn't like him thanks to having killed friend Goku and running away from the fight, but after watching this man go head to head with Giyu and Tanjiro, I'm sold. I'm completely sold. I love the guy and I can't wait to make this video. Oh, and by the way, if you guys like Demon Slayer related what ifs and you guys have been missing that from me, just know one of those videos will be dropping very soon, so be on the lookout for that. But with no further ado, hit it.
Hey Ross, sauce it up.
We begin our story off with Naruto running away from a group of villagers that would be chasing him, yelling out, "Get back here, thief!" As Naruto would turn the corner, Naruto would find that he had made the worst decision of his life. Naruto was confused when running away because in his head, he was thinking that this was a different alleyway, one just a few steps away from this that would allow Naruto to cut through and get away peacefully. But with Naruto having made this mistake now, Naruto was cornered, and now looking at the men who had chased him with smiles on their faces would tell Naruto that he's dead. One man would raise his fist going to strike Naruto, which Naruto would barely manage to parry, not before another man would rush Naruto, tackling him to the ground before then pummeling him with his fists. At this, Naruto would begin whimpering and crying out to stop, saying that he's so sorry and that he wouldn't do it again. But as the man would continue beating down on Naruto and the other men would watch on with smiles, suddenly one man taking a kunai out would say to mark the boy, as a little reminder to never steal anything from them again. With the man shortly beginning to approach Naruto with a smile on his face, about to carve the word thief on his belly. However, before he could start doing this, a voice would call out from the distance saying, "Just what do you intend on doing with that kunai?" To which the man turning around would then see a larger, more imposing man who stares right back at him, signaling him to hand over the kunai. The man would tell him to stay out of their business, as the man would simply call back that this is way too far. Does the man truly intend on scarring a small child over stealing some food? Seriously? Has he no shame? It's not like the boy killed anyone. As the man hearing this would look back towards Naruto, a bit of his anger dissipating and realizing what he was about to do in the heat of the moment. He suddenly would drop the kunai, telling the kid that the next time he steals from them, he's dead, before kicking him one last time for good measure and signaling to the two other men to follow him, that they're done here. This is when the man walking closer to Naruto would suddenly give him his hand, and Naruto looking up would say, "It's you," as it would finally be revealed that the man who had stood up for Naruto was Teuchi. With this being nothing short of a stroke of good luck, considering he's possibly the only person that would have stood up for Naruto. So with that said, he would pick Naruto up, dust him off, and tell him to come with him, that he's gonna treat him. As we would see the young Naruto awkwardly following behind Teuchi to his little shop, where once inside, he would welcome him to the back room, where laying Naruto down and cleaning up the injuries that he was given and putting a warm rag on his head, he would heal the boy up, staying there for the night and eventually waking up the next day where Naruto would feel a lot better. Teuchi would ask him if he's hungry, with the young boy replying that he doesn't have any money, but he'll be fine, believe it. But that's when suddenly Naruto's stomach would grumble, ruining his cool little moment, to which Teuchi, smiling, would tell Naruto to just sit down, that'll bring him out his favorite. As he would then pour Naruto out a bowl of ramen, with Naruto gobbling the entire thing down and Teuchi smiling at the boy. He would ask Naruto what could have possessed him to try to steal from that man in particular. This would lead Naruto to stop scarfing his food down for just a second, as he would say he was hungry. He hadn't eaten since he had wasted all the money the old man gave him, and he wasn't having any luck catching fish on this day, so his stomach grumbled loud enough for him to do something he didn't want to. Teuchi would facepalm, to which he would then tell the boy that that's stupid, and that the next time he needs food, he could simply come here. At once, Naruto hearing that, he would have a little glimmer in his eyes. He would ask, "Really? You mean it?" to which the man would look to Naruto and give him like a thumbs up. Naruto would smile looking at Teuchi saying, "Man, you're the best," but Teuchi would then go on to tell him that if he wants that, he's gonna have to have some sort of payment, and it doesn't have to be money. Naruto would raise an eyebrow at this, questioning how he could pay, and Teuchi would tell him that he can do that with his time, going on to explain to Naruto that he has a young sickly daughter that he can't take care of due to the fact that he has to run his ramen shop in order to be able to afford the medicine she needs, so a lot of times her needs are kind of neglected. Naruto, hearing this, would say that he could help her out, believe it, that he doesn't mind giving his time for his daughter, and so Naruto would be taken towards a separate room where Naruto, seeing a nearby door, would ask if that's Teuchi's room, but Teuchi would simply respond that that hasn't been his room for a long time. Before Naruto would finally come inside, meeting the daughter and seeing her in her sickly state. Naruto would feel bad for her, but ultimately think that she's gonna get better. Under his care and Teuchi getting her the medicine she needs, she'll be good in no time, and that's a promise. And as Naruto would sit down and be introduced to the daughter, Teuchi would go on to tell Naruto that this is his daughter and her name is Ayame. Naruto, hearing that name and seeing the little girl that was about his age, maybe 1 year younger or older, give or take, Naruto would ask what she has. And as Teuchi would try to explain her disease, he would go on to say that it's something that his wife had actually passed from. Naruto, hearing that, would be saddened, but he would say that he's not going to let that happen again, believe it, which would lead a slight smile to appear on Teuchi's face, who honestly at this point has really lost hope. Ayame would thank Naruto for her help and apologize for being an inconvenience to him, but Naruto would say that she doesn't need to apologize for anything since Naruto gets to spend time with somebody and gets fed. It's a win-win. She would smile at this retort, as she would still nonetheless say that she's still sorry. And with that being said, Naruto would return again and again and again, making sure that he's taking care of Teuchi's daughter for saving him the other day. Naruto truly is indebted to this man, and anytime that Naruto finds himself hungry, Teuchi would always bring in a bowl of ramen for not only Naruto, but for Ayame, with Naruto consistently feeding her first before he even gets the chance to eat his cold ramen, which in the time that it takes, it always gets cold. She would consistently apologize for this and other things among that, with Naruto tending to her needs as best as possible. With some time passing, Naruto would grow very fond of her and Teuchi, and as Naruto would find himself in the academy just waiting for the time to pass for him to go take care of Ayame, the only person who seemingly enjoys his company, Naruto would think that it's so useless to be here. He's not learning anything, everybody just looks at him as a dope and no one needs him. What's the point of being somewhere if you're not wanted? And as Naruto would realize that, he would slowly begin to think that maybe he doesn't belong in the academy. After all, he doesn't have to be a fighter, right? He could carve out his own way. So Naruto would stop going to the academy altogether, and one day, as Naruto would be making his way towards the direction of Teuchi's home, Naruto would spot a black-haired girl with clear-colored eyes, as he would see that she was being bullied by 3 boys. Naruto, noticing this, would quickly step into action, saying that they shouldn't bully her for her beautiful eyes, to which the boys would snicker back, now teasing Naruto, before one of them would shove him to the ground, saying that he's that demon that killed his mom. They would all say that they should teach him a lesson. And this is when they would all begin to do exactly that. And so with Naruto getting beat up by this group of bullies and finally arriving at Teuchi's place to take care of his daughter, he would ask what happened this time, questioning Naruto on whether he stole something again. But noticing that the bruises look much smaller in comparison to the last time, Teuchi realizes that this must have been the doing of multiple boys around his age. He would sigh, telling Naruto that he needs to learn to defend himself, asking what exactly the academy's been teaching him this whole time, if he still can't defend himself. And Naruto would reply that the academy doesn't teach him anything, believe it, to which the man would sigh, telling Naruto that if he needs to learn how to protect himself, he supposes it wouldn't kill him to teach him how to do that. So, telling Naruto to follow him, he would take him inside of that room that Teuchi had told him long ago was a place that he doesn't go into anymore. And as soon as he opens the door, they would be met with dust, boxes, and what looks like a dojo mat. Naruto then would look to his left and see kanji for destroy, alongside a robe. And Naruto, seeing that it was about his size, would ask whose this was, as the man would go on to explain that long ago, he actually used to be a ninja. With Naruto being shocked, going, "What? Really? You were a shinobi? With Teuchi nodding, as he would then go on to explain to Naruto that back in his days he actually went on a bunch of missions, to which then turning to his right and seeing a picture framed photo of himself, Minato, and Hiruzen alongside a third member of their team, would go on to stare at the photo before looking to Naruto and seeing the uncanny resemblance between himself and Minato. This is when the man would start to put the pieces together. As his mind connects everything, Minato must have been his father, and that's why he put the nine-tailed fox inside of Naruto. He would think that that was clever, and naming the boy Uzumaki to throw people off of his tail was actually pretty smart. Unfortunately for him, his connection to Minato made him able to discover the secret. So then staring back at Naruto and knowing that if anybody could learn the fighting style he had planned to teach Naruto, it was the son of Minato. So, as Teuchi would close his eyes and hope that Minato would be okay with him teaching him this, he would then go on to explain to Naruto that back then he used to be a practitioner of a specific fighting style that relied on the usage of only his feet and hands. No fancy tools, no ninjutsu, nothing, just his bare fists. Naruto hearing that would think that that's awesome, to which Teuchi would say that it is awesome when it works, but when it doesn't, which is actually a majority of the time, it leads to some pretty unfortunate situations. He would reveal that back in his days, due to himself not being that good at it, he found himself in some pretty difficult situations. And so Naruto hearing about this would then say that he doesn't care, swearing to not only learn but master these techniques and become even stronger than the old man. He would tell him that he'll become Hokage someday, believe it. And Teuchi with a smile would proceed to look at Naruto, telling him that he believes if anybody could, it's him. So for the next couple of years during Naruto's free time, he would spend his time working on these techniques, eventually completely giving up on the academy and focusing all his time on learning this fighting style. This would be something Teuchi was against at first, but after Naruto tells him that he doesn't like the academy and people just make fun of him, Teuchi relents, telling Naruto that well, at least he's still learning to fight, and maybe Hiruzen could make an exception for him. So, as Naruto would continue to learn this fighting style as well as take care of his daughter, time would pass and Naruto would eventually master this fighting style, becoming even more proficient at it than Teuchi himself, who was literally the proprietor of this fighting style. So as Naruto would be wrapping up his training, doing these swift movements and attacks, and predicting the random strikes that Teuchi would throw at him with a rod, Naruto would tell Teuchi that he feels unstoppable. Teuchi would smile, telling Naruto that he's glad, as Ayame coming into the room would ask Naruto if he's at it again, and Naruto would nod, saying that he is. This is when she would ask Naruto if they can go out and watch the fireworks tonight, with Naruto nodding sure. And so, as the two would get ready to go do that, they would make their way towards the bridge where once there, Naruto and Ayame watching the fireworks from afar would both begin to talk about things, with her explaining to Naruto that truth be told, she never thought she was going to get better, but thanks to Naruto's care, she did, and now she feels so happy again. She's able to share moments with her father that she once had dreamed she could do, and she's able to play with Naruto in ways that she had never imagined. She would thank Naruto profusely, with Naruto saying that she doesn't have to get all sentimental on him, saying that that was just part of the deal. He took care of her and he got free ramen. But she would say that he knows he's not telling the truth, that he did grow to care about her and wanted her to get better just as much as she did. Because when she was asleep, faking being asleep, she could always hear Naruto praying that she would get better someday. And it appears that they were all answered. She would look to Naruto with a big ol' smile and tell Naruto that she loves him, to which Naruto, hearing those words out of her mouth, would say, "I love you too," not really sure of the fact that she was saying it in a "I like you kind of way. But once she would say, "No, I don't mean it like that, I really love you," Naruto would be stunned, not really knowing how to reply, until she would ask Naruto to become her husband when they're older. Naruto would go beet bright red, saying that he can't, what would Teuchi say? But she would say that this is all she would ever want in life, and this would make her so happy. Naruto, looking towards her, would say he'll accept. And so as he and her would simply sit there talking and just sharing that brief moment of just, youthful love, Naruto suddenly would arrive home with her as the night would end and the following day would mark Naruto's 13th birthday, which would be spent with the family, as Naruto would go on to have an incredible day filled with cake, balloons, and even a nice little stroll with Ayame. After that would all be over, Naruto would make his way to his home, to go collect the money that Hiruzen surely had left for him, because this had become a common occurrence. Naruto, even though he stayed at his house less and less due to now living with the Teuchi family, Naruto was still given an allowance by Hiruzen, which Naruto would almost always given to Teuchi in order to not only help with the medicine, but the cost of the food that he was constantly eating, since Naruto knew that it wasn't right to simply just take from somebody without giving anything. So that had become their normal thing, and as Naruto would see a beautiful kimono at a shop nearby, Naruto would enter the store knowing that he was probably going to experience some prejudice. Seeing that the price tag read 100 yen, Naruto would happily go to the counter to buy it, but the woman would tell him that it's actually 200 yen, and she forgot to mark that. Naruto, knowing that she was simply treating him badly due to his status as a Jinchuriki, Naruto would say that it's fine, he has the money here. So paying for the kimono, he would walk out as she would say, "Thanks, come again," with some attitude. Naruto in this moment would begin walking home, and as Naruto would do so, he would see a sight that Naruto could only imagine in his deepest, darkest nightmare. Smoke rising from the direction of the Teuchi household, which doubled as a ramen shop. And with Naruto noticing this, he would rush there as fast as he possibly can, only to see the bodies of Teuchi and Ayame having been burnt alive, with the man tossing a torch to their direction, which would completely incinerate them, making them unrecognizable. Only by their white garments that they had wore to sell ramen could they be recognized. Naruto, seeing this sight, would almost feel as though time itself froze around him. And as Naruto stared at those bodies that were burning up in a blaze, Naruto could just feel something break inside of him. As feeling a power Naruto had never felt before, Naruto would slowly walk towards the direction of their bodies, watching as they slowly turned to ash and his teeth would begin to grit. Naruto would then stare back towards the direction of shinobi mixed with villagers who had been the ones to do this horrible deed. And as Naruto would stare into their faces, Naruto could see smiles. So finally, unable to contain his anger any longer, Naruto would rush towards the first man, plunging his fist straight into the man's face, carving it into it. As claws now extended and fangs now growing with his whiskers becoming animalistic, Naruto, using the fighting style Akaza uses in Demon Slayer, would begin to butcher each and every single one of them, one by one. Seeing this, some of the villagers nearby would attempt to run knowing that they're gonna die, but Naruto would simply chase them down, with anybody that was watching on getting killed simply for being a bystander, since in Naruto's eyes, everyone was responsible for this tragic event. Every single person in the village who had given him a funny stare is the root of this evil. So, as Naruto would go on this absolute killing spree, plunging his fist into somebody's body, Naruto would turn back towards the direction of a helpless shopkeep who had once called him a demon, and as Naruto would lunge towards his direction, Naruto would suddenly be sent backwards by countless people wearing Anbu masks. Naruto, knowing that this must be the Leaf Shinobi's protectors, would utter, "Where were you when my family was being massacred?" as he would lunge towards their direction, plunging his claws into their chest before then throwing kicks that would literally decapitate people. And as Naruto would go through these Anbu members, slaughtering one after the other, 23 Anbu shinobis would come and go, when finally a man with silver hair and an Anbu mask would arrive, this being Kakashi Hatake, one of the most skilled Anbu members ever, as he would attempt to plunge a Chidori into Naruto's body at a non-vital area. However, Naruto's compass needle would detect this, parrying the attack from Kakashi, which would never have the chance to land, with Kakashi being shocked at the speed at which this 13-year-old boy was now reacting at. Taking his sword out of his back, not wanting to do this, he would suddenly cut off Naruto's arm, with Naruto not even letting out so much as a shriek, as the arm itself would grow back almost instantly. Powered by the hatred of Naruto and the Nine Tails mixing as one, Naruto would then rush towards the direction of Kakashi, grabbing him by the face and attempting to plunge his thumbs into his eyes so he could no longer see. However, just before Naruto could do this, a wooden pillar would hit Naruto, with this being Yamato, having arrived in the nick of time. But unfortunately for Yamato, he still wasn't at a state where he could competently fight against Naruto, so with Kakashi yelling out, "Get away, Tenzo!" suddenly, Naruto rushing in towards his direction would be about to kill the young man with one simple strike. However, before that could happen, Might Guy would now arrive, activating the third gate and kicking Naruto away, who now standing back up, empowered by sheer rage, would stare at the three of them, saying that they're dead. Naruto would then rush towards the direction of Might Guy, attempting to decapitate him with a swift kick. However, before that could happen, a wooden pillar would arrive, blocking the blow as it would be shattered, before another Chidori would then attempt to be thrusted into Naruto, which Naruto would parry. Might Guy coming in with punches and kicks would have them all blocked by Naruto, to which throwing one of his most powerful punches, he would punch Might Guy in the arm, with it literally breaking his bones, it unable to tank the power of this hit, with him being flung backwards as Naruto would stand up looking towards the direction of Might Guy with a blank expression. It's at this moment that suddenly Kakashi would attempt to place the boy under Genjutsu. However, it wouldn't work because an image of the Nine Tails would flash through his head as Naruto would instantly snap out of it and now rush towards the direction of Kakashi. Might Guy, knowing that this is an opponent he can't afford to take it easy on, would instantly awaken the sixth gate. And since this was a 13-year-old Naruto being empowered by two tails of the Nine Tails' power, this would be just enough strength for them to overwhelm Naruto, as punches and kicks would start coming at Naruto so fast that Naruto couldn't find a way to dodge them all. The chakra required to heal himself would start dissipating, and since Naruto couldn't access it all, eventually Naruto's body would collapse on the ground, having completely overused all of his chakra and the access that he has to the Nine Tails. So now a passed out Naruto on the ground would be taken directly to the prison of the Leaf Village, where once there, Naruto would wake up a few hours later to the sight of Hiruzen there, who would ask Naruto if he's finally awake. Naruto would say, "You, how dare you show your face to me after your villagers slaughtered my family?" Naruto would be pressed up against the cage as he would stare at Hiruzen with eyes that scream murder. Hiruzen, seeing this, would look down, telling Naruto that he's sorry, that it was never his intentions for things to wind up like this, to which Naruto would scream out with tears now pouring from his face, all my life, Hiruzen, it's been hell. I've been alone, and people have ostracized me, and just when I found a family, just when I found a place that I could belong, everything was ripped away from me by the same villagers that have treated me like scum for years. I swear to you, Hiruzen, if it's the last thing I do, every single person in this village will be slaughtered. I will tear them all limb from limb, and I'm gonna make sure to take my time on you, since you're responsible for all the actions of these damned villagers. And as Hiruzen would hear these declarations of rage from Naruto, he would look down before then walking away, with Hiruzen feeling true sorrow and regret at what happened that night. Because had Hiruzen simply kept the secret of Naruto's Jinchuriki status more hidden, this whole tragedy could have been avoided. Had he have been the one to raise Naruto, Naruto might not have ended up in this place, but instead, he let work get the better of him, and now Naruto was paying the price. He would think in his mind, "I'm sorry, Minato," as he would report to a meeting between the elders, where they have to discuss the loss of hundreds of villagers that night. Naruto had slaughtered a grand total of 92 civilians and 36 Anbu members, injuring Kakashi, Might Guy, and Tenzo to top it all off. Danzo would request that Naruto's Jinchuriki status be ripped from him and he be killed for the actions he performed tonight, with the village elders echoing these same sentiments. However, before they could fully begin to start all agreeing on this, Hiruzen would stand from his Hokage position, firmly disagreeing and saying that the actions Naruto performed tonight were all due to his negligence. He would say that Naruto will be kept in prison until he can once again be trusted to come out and serve as a shinobi as he should have all along. However, Danzo, feeling anger at this, would clap back, saying that Hiruzen is a fool for that decision. However, Hiruzen would say to remember his place, that the one sitting in the Hokage office is him, and if any of them disagree with him, they can just go ahead and keep their mouths shut because they won't be heard. He would then leave, saying that this meeting is adjourned, with Danzo being left there, as rage would begin to fill the man's heart, and he would think that he was so close to finally getting what he wanted, that Jinchuriki was finally gonna be his. Since after all, the murdering of Naruto's family was Danzo's plan. But it's not like anyone will find out about that anyways, considering that all proof of it died along with every single person responsible for the burning of that building. Because sure, the villagers slowly started avoiding Teuchi's ramen shop once they had noticed Naruto's connection there. However, that would have been it if not for Danzo's intervention. As we now jump cut back to Naruto, who would be stuck in the prison cell, hands and legs firmly tied up with sealing jutsus, Naruto would sit there with nothing but his thoughts. And as the woman who would bring him his meals would start to feed Naruto, Naruto would silently sit there eating, thinking about how he can escape from this hellhole. And as Naruto would contemplate these thoughts, suddenly the voice of the nine-tailed fox would ring out through his head. Naruto, Naruto. Naruto, hearing this voice, would call out, asking who that was, with the nine-tails revealing himself and saying that due to these seals, his connection with Naruto was hampered, and this is the most he can manage. He would tell Naruto that if he can somehow get free, he can help him exact his plan on this village, seeing as he also hates this place as much as Naruto. As he would start to explain to Naruto that he's been sealed inside of Jinchurikis in this village for as long as he can remember, and the last time he was sealed, it was done so by his father, Minato Namikaze. With Naruto, who hears this, being shocked, going, "The fourth Hokage is my father?" Him hearing this would start to cackle, saying that that's just too good. And as the fox would explain more and more details on the status of his being Jinchuriki to his mother, Naruto would feel rage begin to seep through his body even more so, with him thinking that not only had this village treated him like garbage, but his own father set him up for failure from day one. Naruto would feel so much rage boiling up inside of him that it could almost manifest if possible. And as time would pass and Naruto's behaviors would be monitored, it would be obvious to the Hokage that Naruto was clearly not ready to return to Konoha and be amongst the rest of the villagers. With 1 year passing, and eventually tons of events in the Naruto story eventually unfolding, such as the graduation exam, which in this timeline happens when the students are 14 instead of 12, just because I wanted to upscale the characters so that Naruto's physical body could keep up with the taxing fighting style Naruto had passed on to him by Teuchi. But the graduation exam isn't all that happens. The land of waves comes and goes, with Naruto being replaced by Sai in this timeline, and the Chunin exam's preliminary stages even coming and going. This is when we would now find ourselves 1 year after Naruto's capture, so now Naruto was about 14 years old and some change, as Naruto would hear sounds of destruction in the village, and as Naruto could hear this, he would hope that this wall or ceiling around him could collapse on him and put him out of his misery, if not help free him somehow, since Naruto had practically given up hope of escaping this hellhole. However, just as Naruto would have these thoughts race through his head, he would hear the sound of the metal door encaging him being opened, as suddenly seals would start to be ripped off of the sickly looking Naruto, who had let depression overcome him over all this time, refusing to eat and growing weaker and weaker by the day. With Naruto finally opening his eyes to see Kimimaru undoing every seal, Naruto would question what he's doing, and Kimimaru would tell him he's following orders, that he's coming with them. Naruto would then be placed onto Kimimaru's back as he would make his way back towards Orochimaru's base, all the while coughing out some blood while he's doing this, while Naruto would be completely unconscious, none the wiser of the journey that they would undertake to arrive at the base, where once there, Naruto would be placed on the bed that Kimimaru normally would rest on, all the while Kimimaru falling to the ground dead now, having overexerted himself with this final mission, would wish Naruto to be a fine vessel for him. And as Naruto would find himself finally waking up after being injected by a multitude of drugs, Naruto could feel some semblance of his strength coming back, with the Nine Tails now speaking to him louder than ever, telling Naruto to bide his time, and once the time is right, to strike, to kill Orochimaru, that nothing good comes from that man. But now seeing the weak and sickly looking Orochimaru, who had just recently lost the usage of his arms thanks to Hiruzen in their final battle, Naruto would then stare to Kabuto, who would tell Naruto that he's the one responsible for administrating treatment. He would tell Naruto that he is going to be serving under Orochimaru. That is, if he wants to continue having his freedom. And with Naruto having no choice in the matter, he would simply nod, telling him that he'll do whatever Orochimaru needs, so long as he can return to Konoha and slaughter every single person there. Orochimaru would smile, telling him that that will come in due time, but for now, they need their rest. This is when Kabuto would begin administering treatment on Orochimaru as well as Naruto, as the two eventually would find some semblance of strength returning to them, with Naruto having a big change happening to him. Kabuto would have used experimental drugs on Naruto, which would do the same effect that they have on Muzan, essentially turning Naruto into a full-fledged demon. This happening because honestly and truthfully speaking, I couldn't think of a way to integrate demons into the story without making it way too convoluted, and I couldn't just add Muzan to the story because that would have been a little strange. So instead, I figured that making Naruto become the first transformed demon ever would probably be the best approach for this story. So with that said, as Naruto's demonification, or however you pronounce that word, happens, Naruto would feel his strength return to him tenfold. He would feel so much stronger, so much lighter, and so much more of a thirst for blood, literally, than he had ever experienced before. Naruto standing up and squeezing and ungripping his hand would then stare at Kabuto, who would enter the room about to administer his medicine. Naruto, however, staring at Kabuto would smirk, licking the upper half of his lips before then rushing Kabuto in a movement so fast that Kabuto couldn't even perceive it. But by the time that he would look down, Naruto's hand would be firmly plunged into his stomach, crushing every tissue and organ he could get his hand on. And as Kabuto would fall on the ground wishing he could warn Orochimaru, he would breathe his final breath, with Naruto consuming Kabuto in his entirety and feeling as though he had gotten stronger. This would be a strange sight to behold indeed, and as Naruto would be done with this, Naruto would make his way towards Orochimaru's chambers, with Naruto facing absolutely zero resistance, playing the part that he needed in order to get as close to Orochimaru as possible. And now once within the room, Naruto would have a smirk in his face as he would bow down to Orochimaru, asking him what his first decree would be for him, thanking him for saving his life and telling him that he's forever indebted to him. Orochimaru, none the wiser of this, would tell Naruto that he's going to be training alongside the Sound Four, with Naruto standing back up and saying that that's perfect, before his killing intent would finally rise to the surface and Orochimaru, sensing this far too late, would be decapitated. As Naruto would begin to feast on the weak and sickly Orochimaru, before stopping and spitting it out, saying that it's disgusting. Naruto then would make his way towards the direction of the Sound Four. With them being completely unaware of Naruto's intentions, Naruto would start off with Tauyuya, rushing towards her and plunging his fist directly through her mouth. This is when Naruto, turning towards the rest of the members of the Sound Four, would ask if she was important to them, saying sorry sarcastically. This is when one of them would yell out, "You damn bastard! You'll die for this!" as he would rip his bow backwards and shoot an arrow to the direction of Naruto, which Naruto would deflect as another arrow would be sent flying towards him, Naruto catching this one and throwing it at the belly of Jirobo, which would pierce right through it, with the man slamming his fists onto the ground, causing a little bit of an earthquake type of effect inside of the base. This being something that the remaining Sound 4 members would fully take advantage of, attempting to rush Naruto and land quick, precise attacks. However, before these attacks could land on Naruto, Naruto's needle compass would alert him of this, having been amplified by Naruto's blood demon art after his conversion would have become successful. So as Jirobo would attempt to throw a massive strike to Naruto, now having been amplified by the power of the curse mark, Naruto would block the blow, crushing his fist and delivering a punch so powerful Jirobo's head would explode. This would be met with a scream of "No way!" from Sakon and Yukon, who both say a different word individually, which I think would be kind of cool. But anyways, Naruto hearing that would then lick the blood from his fist, saying that that big guy was pretty tasty, and he'll make sure to make a proper meal out of him when he's done with these two. However, Kidomaru, now beginning to weave a web to attempt to trap Naruto inside of it, would smile, telling Naruto that those threads will be the source of his downfall. But Naruto would smile before tearing them to shreds and saying that he doesn't think so. Before then, Naruto would step on the foot of Kidomaru, not allowing him to move from that spot, as the two other brothers, Sakon and Yukon, rushed Naruto before he could land the killing blow. However, thanks to Naruto's needle compass once again, Naruto would be more than fast enough to not only land the killing blow on Kidomaru, but one on Sakon and Yukon. With all 4 of the sound members being completely dispatched of, Naruto would stand above them all, beginning to consume their corpses, with Naruto making his way out of the base, simply destroying a hole out the roof. As soon as Naruto's exposed flesh would show to the sunlight, he would feel it burning completely. So as Naruto would step back into the darkness, Naruto would wonder what that was, to which a voice ringing in his head would tell him that he must be weak to sunlight. Something within the drugs that Orochimaru had given him had caused this to Naruto. In exchange for power, Naruto must now have some sort of weakness, with Naruto gritting his teeth saying that that damn bastard cursed him. If this power was to come at such a high cost that he could only do his activities in the nighttime, then he didn't wish to have it. However, this is when the Nine Tails would go on to explain to Naruto that all may not be lost, telling him to coat himself with a thin layer of chakra to use his. This is when Naruto doing so and forming it around his body as a coat layer that's like seemingly acts as armor or invisible armor, Naruto would step into the sunlight as it would do nothing. A creepy smile would then appear in Naruto's face as he would think that that's perfect. With this chakra barrier coming up that barely costs him any chakra at all, Naruto will be able to arrive at the Leaf Village in less than 2 days. So as Naruto would travel to the Leaf Village, going on a bit of a killing spree and stealing a long brown robe, Naruto would finally find himself within the Leaf Village, having moved so fast that the guards couldn't even perceive him using the body flicker to arrive right outside of the burned down ramen shop that Naruto had considered home at some point. Naruto standing above it would then kneel down paying his respects, swearing that if it's the last thing he does, he was gonna make sure that this entire village pays for what it had done to his family. As Naruto now standing up, being an even more formidable than the Akaza that we get in the anime, thanks to Naruto being empowered by the Nine Tails' chakra and having the demonification effects of Akaza as well as his exact fighting style, Naruto would now set his sights on the Hokage statues, with him catching a glimpse of Minato as rage would seep to the surface, and Naruto would think that it must be a bad joke that he was the son of that bastard. Suddenly, Naruto would body flicker inside of the room where the Hokage was at, expecting to see Hiruzen. But as the chair would turn, sensing a new aura around, it would be revealed that it would be Jiraiya, who would ask Naruto what his purpose for being in the village was, with Naruto standing there asking where the old man went, to which Jiraiya, being shocked at this reply, would say that the old man Hiruzen was dead. He was killed in a battle with Orochimaru, so if he's planning to exact revenge on him, there's no point. Somebody beat him to it. Naruto, hearing this, would simply turn his head to the side, saying that that's a damn shame. He'll just have to do instead. So Jiraiya, knowing that there was no talking to this Naruto who looked so much different and didn't even seem human anymore, would rush Naruto with a kick, which would be countered with Naruto's own kick. As the two would clash, Naruto would smile, saying that the old man's not half bad. However, as he would kick Jiraiya away, who would soften the landing with his hair, using a strange jutsu to elongate it, Naruto would then find himself dodging these strange attacks that look kind of like a porcupine being shot at him. However, Naruto, being more than fast enough to sense this, would dodge everything. And as Jiraiya would see just how strong, fast, and agile Naruto is, he would be stunned, wasting no time at all before then summoning Ma and Pa on his shoulders, telling them that they need to summon as much sage energy as they can because he's going to be needing every last drop to take on Naruto. He would swear that he's going to bring him back to his senses, and as Naruto would hear that remark, Naruto would cackle, telling him that he is in his right senses, rushing to the direction of Jiraiya, throwing a punch which would send the man crashing out. Now, their fight would pour into the actual village, and as Naruto and Jiraiya's 30-second fight would rage on, punches and kicks would be thrown, Jiraiya blocking some and getting hit by others. Naruto's attacks would slowly start to chip at Jiraiya, and though Jiraiya would be able to land some attacks on Naruto that should normally be detrimental to the small shinobi, this time, thanks to Naruto's healing factor and Nine Tails chakra, perfectly working in synchronization, they would do nothing. Naruto's healing would be so incredibly fast that it almost appears as though damage has never been done to the boy, and as he would land more and more attacks on Jiraiya, well, he would simply grow weaker and weaker. The fragility of humanity would suddenly come to the surface as Jiraiya would find himself on the back foot, now finally having access to Sage Mode and creating a massive Rasengan, which he would try to use to throw at Naruto, which Naruto would counter by using blue-silver chaotic afterglow, throwing a horde of punches that would be sent in multiple directions, killing innocent bystander villagers, all the while Jiraiya's Rasengan would be countered by this, as some blows would even land on Jiraiya, him unable to dodge every single one of them. And as Jiraiya would find himself on his final legs, Naruto would pick the sage up by his hair, telling him that his apologies mean nothing, to which Jiraiya, coughing out blood, would say, "Sorry, Minato, I failed you." To which Minato would smile before beheading the ninja and tossing his head to the ground. This is when suddenly, much like a couple of years ago, a dozen Anbu members would now appear, as chakra threads would now be surrounding Naruto, and Aburame clan members would arrive in tow. These bugs would begin to surround Naruto, injecting him with poisons, as Naruto could feel his body weaken, Danzo having prepared for in case something like this would happen. However, as the poisons would appear to start taking real damage on Naruto, Naruto's body would start healing, completely counteracting the poisons, as Naruto standing back up with the Nine Tails chakra supercharging and flaring out an aura so unbelievably powerful Danzo couldn't believe it, and it could literally be visible from miles away. Naruto would turn towards Danzo, knowing and recognizing him as the leader, before he would then lunge at him and pierce his fist straight through the man's heart, crushing it. This would kill Danzo immediately, who Naruto, thinking that he has now been taken out of the puzzle, would go to now attack the rest of the Anbu members, killing them and destroying them with precise and calculated blows, leg sweep, axe kicks, punches, elbows, and even headbutts would destroy them all, until eventually Danzo, having charged up an attack, attempting to use it on Naruto, would send it Naruto's way, who, detecting it at the last second, parrying it and countering it, would be stunned at the appearance of Danzo once again on the battlefield. Naruto would dispose of him once more, with Danzo returning, and Naruto asking him which sort of jutsu that is. How's he able to return from the brink of death? It's not regeneration, is it? But Danzo would simply tell the boy that that's for him to know, as he would attempt to kill Naruto, eventually being brought down to his last life, where Danzo would attempt to kill himself with a suicide bomb in order to wipe the world of Naruto, this strange being who could seemingly heal from anything. However, the attack would be null and void, as Naruto would barely manage to survive it, with his body healing from the trauma of the explosion that it had caused him. That said, this is when we zoom into the perspective of a man nearby with his 3 students, having just returned from a mission. Might Guy, recognizing that chakra from so long ago, would tell his students to stay there and not dare get close to the village. And as he would rush in, knowing that he's now going to have to fight that young man once again, he would hope that he's ready to face Naruto. All the while Naruto would continue his slaughter on the villagers, destroying almost the entire population of the village after having created a bunch of chakra clones, with their one and only purpose being the annihilation of the village. And as the group would nearly achieve this goal, suddenly Might Guy would arrive in front of Naruto, with Naruto smirking, saying that it's been a while, bushy brows, saying that he's finally gonna take care of him after all, asking where that silver-haired man and the brown-haired one with the wood jutsu is. Might Guy would say that his friends don't need to be here, and that since they're busy, he guesses he'll take care of the trash. To which Naruto would reply by saying, "I'd like to see you try!" throwing a punch at Might Guy, who would counter it with his own punch, with Naruto realizing that this man is different from the rest. His taijutsu makes him a formidable opponent. Naruto would smile, leaping backwards, telling Might Guy that he never expected he was hiding this much power. And Might Guy would tell Naruto that he's grown awfully fast, questioning how this could have happened, considering that Naruto was in a jail and must have had zero time to train, with Naruto responding back that he's just a natural, as the two would clash once more, a kick clashing, with Might Guy leaping backwards and attempting to use a 7th gate Hiradora. This attack would land on Naruto, and though it would do some damage, the damage would heal instantly, with Naruto laughing at the helplessness of Might Guy in this situation. This is when Naruto would prepare to use the same attack that had killed Jiraiya, and as these blasts of energy would be hitting Jiraiya, suddenly he would be saved by Rock Lee, who would get him out of the battlefield, having tapped into the 5th gate instantly to rush and grab his sensei. His sensei, thanking Lee, would go on to tell him that it's time that his light of youth be extinguished, as he would go on to tap at his chest, saying, "8th gate, open." And as Might Guy would tap into the legendary power of the 8 gates, and Lee would stare at his sensei, tears falling from his eyes, telling him he shouldn't have done that, Might Guy would say he had to do it, because that's what a man has to do. So standing back up and facing off against Naruto with one broken arm, a fractured leg, and a bunch of broken ribs, he would ask Naruto how he intends to face him now, to which Naruto would say that it's gonna be the same old, but his Might Guy would rush in at Naruto, literally breaking the sound barrier and being able to move so fast that he can literally move in air itself. He would proceed to start ragdolling Naruto, with the blows piling up more and more and more, until Naruto's regeneration would slowly start to be overwhelmed by Might Guy's blows. Naruto would block before pushing Might Guy away with a thunderous roar, and him saying that if he has to do it, he will. So be it. A tailed beast bomb would charge from his mouth, as Kurama would have told him that he should use his power more. So, blasting the attack at Might Guy would counter this by kicking it up as though it was a soccer ball. Naruto feeling stunned, as Might Guy would appear behind him, throwing a back-shattering punch at his blind spot, with Naruto knowing that it was coming thanks to his compass, however being completely unable to move that fast. This is when Naruto would be sent to the ground before Might Guy would stomp on him, telling him that this is the difference between his springtime of youth and Naruto. And as Naruto would start gritting his teeth and the memories of his family having been slaughtered with the fire and the time that he had spent in the prison, Naruto would stand up once again, rage powering his every movement, with Naruto refusing to go down. His healing would speed up once more as Naruto's blows would start getting faster and faster, and a much more massive aura of chakra would surround him as he would start going toe to toe with Might Guy, moving just as fast as the bushy-browed shinobi, who would tell Naruto he's impressed, but this battle ends now, taking things to another level and beginning to pummel Naruto so unbelievably fast that Naruto once again found himself unable to keep up. However, Might Guy would realize one thing: Naruto's regeneration made it so that in order to defeat him, he had to do so with one clean strike that destroyed every part of him. So Might Guy would begin charging the attack known as the Night Guy, as a kick would then be sent towards the direction of Naruto, the likes the young shinobi had never expected from somebody like Might Guy. And as his body would begin to be torn to shreds and his regeneration couldn't keep up, Naruto would suddenly hear the voice of Ayame telling Naruto that it's okay, with Naruto in his mind screaming that it's not. This village doomed him and he's not gonna let this village doom him as well. But as Naruto would fight to have his regeneration counteract this attack, Naruto would start to feel his body being burned, unable to regenerate at quite that pace and also keep up that chakra barrier protecting him from the sunlight. So with that blow slowly disintegrating alongside the sun, Naruto's entire essence would disappear, as Might Guy's body would be on the ground, battered and defeated, completely charred. This is when Rock Lee would arrive at the battlefield yelling out, "Sensei! Sensei!" But this would be met with nothing. Might Guy was dead, and with no six-path Sage Mode Naruto arriving, this means that he was permanently dead. So while Kakashi was out of the village with his team completing a mission, all this chaos had ensued. And with the Leaf Village having found themselves with so much devastation and destruction, and only a handful of villagers now being left, the entirety of the village would literally have been destroyed by Naruto, because rebuilding would have been a fool's dream. So though Naruto failed in the end, Naruto did manage to accomplish his goal eliminating the Leaf Village. And as Naruto could feel his being disappearing, suddenly Naruto would see an image of a man with blonde hair and blue eyes. And with Naruto seeing this, tears would begin seeping down his face as he would fall down to his knees and ask why he did that to him. Why did he put such a burden on him and led his life to turn into that shit show that he had to live through? But Minato, looking down at his son, would tell him that he's sorry, and regardless of everything he did, he loves him. So as Naruto feels the last bit of his essence disappearing, Naruto would suddenly be reunited with Ayame, Teuchi, Minato, and Kushina. His soul finally finding the peace and rest that he's been yearning for all his life. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where I'm going to be wrapping up What If Naruto Was Akazas Reincarnation. Let me know down below in the comments what you guys thought about this one. I had a lot of fun making it since the story practically wrote itself. I mean, genuinely, I barely had to pour any effort into this and it still turned out this good. I know it followed a lot of the Demon Slayer new movie that came out, but I wanted it to do that because I really liked Akazas' backstory. So ladies and gentlemen, if you guys enjoyed this video and you want to see more Demon Slayer content from me, go check out What If Naruto Was Reincarnation. But with that out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, shout out to Azuma for commissioning this video. It has been your boy Xehther, and I am out. Peace.